Once upon a time, there lay a magical kingdom. It was known as the Kingdom of Frown. In Frown, people always smiled, 'cause they never had to worry. Every problem they had was always solved by their beautiful, lovely queen. Their queen was a woman who listened to every problem and solved every one, if not personally, by directing the right person to do it. She had doctors to cure illness. She had heroes to slay monsters. She had a man to bake bread for those who were hungry, and had a fluffy cat for people to pet who were sad. The queen was always able to solve an issue, either by herself or through her numerous means. But there was one person in the Kingdom of Frown. He was a very, very mean man. His name was Bad. And so Bad thought, the queen's always so happy because she can fix every problem or send someone to do it. What if I made a problem she couldn't fix? A problem that wasn't even real? I know what I'll do. I'll go to the queen and I'll tell her there's a monster under my bed. And when she sends someone to deal with the monster, they won't be able to deal with it. He giggled to himself with glee for his evil plan. And so the next day came, and he moved from his small hut on the edge of the town of Frown to the castle where the queen lay. It was a long line of people who wanted to thank the queen for her numerous deeds. But Bad, slowly but surely, managed to make his way to the front. Once there, he looked around and did his best to put on a convincing act, acting scared, shivering slightly, holding himself close in a self-hug. Your Majesty, there's a terrible monster. It's under my bed. It hides under my bed every night, and it roars at me, and it attacks, and it nibbles at my nails. As he held up his fingernails that he had nibbled on previously to help his story. The queen looked horrified. I've never heard of such a vile monster. I'm so sorry, Mr. Bad. Let me send a hero to slay it. A hero to vanquish this monster and have it trouble you no more. As she smiled, like everyone in Frown did. Thank you so much, my lady, your Majesty. I appreciate it so much. He snickered quietly as he turned around and left for home. It wasn't an hour later that a knight showed up at his door, dressed in shining armor, with a sword at his side, and a lovely little bottle of monster repellent that he knew was sure to scare any monster away.
Tell me, where is the monster at? Her Majesty has sent me to aid you, Sir Bad.
Ah, kind knight, yes, the monster, the horrible evil monster is under my bed.
I see. I shall deal with it, and it will trouble you no longer. No more will it nibble at your nails, or poke at you, or anything else. It will never scare you again.
As the knight strode into the room, he looked around and found the bed, crawling down onto all fours and looking under it. And when he looked under the bed, there was no monster. He was confused. Standing up and looking towards Mr. Bad.
I don't see a monster underneath your bed.
What? The queen sends a knight who can't even find a monster?
I can, I just don't see one.
The queen is no help at all, is she? Sending such a bad person to do a job.
I'm sorry. The monster is not under your bed.
Are you calling me a liar?
No, would never dream of someone lying about something so horrific.
Get out of my house. The Queen is no help at all, and let everyone know, Bad shouted. As the knight retreated, he was downfallen. He felt like he hadn't succeeded. He felt like he'd failed, something he'd never really experienced before, and the smile that everyone in Frown had turned upside down on his face. As he made his way back to the castle, the Queen saw her brave knight. His smile turned upside down. "Brave knight, what ails you?" she asked, looking at him quite confused. "Your smile is the wrong way up."
"Your Majesty, I could not slay the monster. It was not under the bed."
"It wasn't under the bed? But Bad said it was. Did you check in the closet? Under the cabinet?"
"I checked all over the place, and there was no monster to be found."
"An invisible monster you could not slay? But what about the spray?"
"I sprayed everywhere, and no monster came forth. There was nothing at all."
As the Queen heard his tone, her own smile started to droop, turning to a frown. "What's happening to my face?" she thought to herself, reaching her hand up and feeling for her smile, but finding something else. "Sir Knight, I am so sorry to hear this. We will try again tomorrow to find the monster and deal with it."
"Yes, Your Highness, of course,"
he said as he began to walk away towards his room. As the Queen sat there, her smile didn't return, and it hurt her face so. She called a physician towards her, asking what was wrong.
"Well, Your Highness, you seem to have no ailment, no fever, nothing at all, but your smile is turned upside down. What has caused this I do not know, but it does worry me so."
And the doctor's smile turned upside down. It spread like fire through the kingdom. Everyone who saw the upside-down smile had one cross their face as well. Everyone, that is, except for Bad. He saw the effect his story had had, and he giggled with glee. He was happy, you see, that the Queen wasn't. He was a very, very bad man. And as the Frown, as it came to be known, spread throughout the kingdom, other countries began to be afraid. They called it a plague, a lack of a smile, an expression of sadness that no one had ever felt before. As frowns made their way around the kingdom, there was scarcely a face without one. People all felt sadness for the very first time. The Queen didn't know if she could send knights to handle issues. Her doctors couldn't cure frowns, and even petting the soft, fluffy cats didn't make her feel better for long. She felt like she was letting her people down. And so the Queen set out to go to the very source of it all, to go to the House of Bad, to deal with the monster once and for all. As she made her way towards Bad, she thought of everything she knew about the monster that started it all. It ate fingernails and lived under beds, so she needed to figure out a way to get rid of the monster, she thought. As she knocked on his door, Bad answered, staring at her with a smile on his face. It made the Queen so very confused. How could the one who suffered the most have a smile at all? "Mr. Bad, I need to get to the bottom of this monster. He has spread a plague throughout the kingdom, one where people's smiles are turned upside down. They're starting to call it a frown. And I don't want our kingdom associated with something so foul. Please, I need to help you get rid of this monster, she said as she looked Bad over. She looked at his fingernails. They weren't nibbled on. As she tilted her head and raised an eyebrow in confusion. Mr. Bad, your nails.
Yeah, what about them?
He asked. They're not nibbled on anymore. He paused, unsure of what to say, knowing he'd be caught in a lie.
I guess the monster stopped eating them,
he said, though the queen didn't believe it. Is it still under your bed? She asked him, and he paused once more, starting to feel sweat pool on his forehead.
No, it's not under my bed anymore. It's actually left. It's somewhere else.
Where has it gone to? She asked him.
I do not know.
The queen crossed her arms as she stared over Bad. Are you lying to me?
What?
He stammered, worried, knowing he'd be caught.
No, yes, I'm lying,
he said, admitting, drooping his head in sadness, for the first time feeling a frown cross his face, and slightly worried at the sensation. As he looked up, the queen's frown started to fade as she looked him over. You've lied and thrown our kingdom into chaos. You turned our smiles upside down. But telling the truth, it's made me feel better. My night never failed. My doctors didn't either. It was all because you lied. You made us feel bad. As she looked him up and down. But the truth makes us feel better. And I'm able to smile again, she said, feeling it go from cheek to cheek, beaming a brilliant white from her teeth. And so she left, Bad alone, not wanting to see a liar and not needing to know any more. She wasn't failing her people. She was doing everything she could. A frown just needed a smile to cure it. As she went to the castle, the knight saw her smile, and it got rid of his frown. The doctor saw it, and his changed indeed, flipping back into a smile. And every person who came to the castle with a problem felt their frown turning upside down into a smile. And as those people went back home, their family saw a smile and smiled indeed, because while a frown may be contagious, something far more so is a smile. This has been an original audio story by PoisonIveh. I hope you've enjoyed, and please sleep tight.